Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com and my show, Democracy 2.0. Is that right? It's 2.0. Wayne was talking to me earlier and I say it's 2.0, but it's 2.0. And he'll explain the meaning of that. Anyway, with my co-host, Wayne Bouchard, who we talk about democracy, what's going to happen with it, what's the future of it, what's happening in our world today. And anyway, take it away, Wayne.
Well, good afternoon, Malcolm. And in keeping with that, theme, what you said, democracy 2.0, I'd like to start off by asking the question, what's destroying democracy in the United States today? What is the major cause of disruption in our democracy?
Is that a question for me?
It's a question for the entire world, but since you're the only one within earshot, I guess you should probably give it the first runaround. How's that?
Well, the question is, it's in the history of the world, this is really the first. They say this is an experiment, and it's still an experiment with democracy. Mm-hmm. And do we have a true democracy? That's the question. And what is a true democracy? With one vote for one person, when they're trying to eliminate people from the voting registrar. I don't know. What is and part of it is that democracy is changing with the different people that are in power. I mean, right now, there used to be people would get together. I mean, the Republicans and the Democrats would get together, they would meet and they come up with a compromise. One of them didn't get 100% of what they wanted and the other didn't get 100% of what they wanted. But it was a compromise. They don't do that anymore.
The entire world has shifted away from, democracy to more of a nationalistic and even tribal kind of mentality. And I have been asking people the question, for the last at least 10 years, what comes after democracy? We've had this form of government has been around for a long time, a couple hundred years. And is it going to continue? There's one thing that's obvious from studying history is that things change. So is there another form of government? Is there another form? We've experimented with autocratic forms of government, communistic forms of government, Marxist governments, socialist governments, and democracy. And what is the next iteration of government that comes out of all of these experimentations, if you will, that we have gone through? It's not only the United States that's that's posing, it has to look at this question. It's the rest of the world. What's going on in the rest of the world is exactly the same that's going on here. We have populist leaders who want to lead us away from democracy. Instead of having, one person, one vote, they want to narrow the people who are allowed to vote, almost going back to the days when, unless you owned, a certain amount of farmland, you didn't have a vote. And what they're trying to do is restrict, Blacks, Latinos, minorities. They want to keep out all the immigrants so that the white male European Christians can continue to rule the world. And that's not going to happen. I mean, it may happen in the short term, but not in the long term, because eventually the population will just take over and say no.
It's known as a revolution.
And hopefully it'll be a peaceful revolution.
Well,
Hopefully.
yeah. Well, the right wing is preparing for it. What is it, Proud Brothers? I forget the name of the various groups that are armed
Yeah.
and
Proud
they're
Brothers.
going to
Yeah.
take over Washington. What's the Proud Boys?
Oh, that's it. Proud Boys. You're right. You're right. And
But
the world has to face up to the situation, and maybe some great thinkers. We look back at our founding fathers. I mean, there were some brilliant minds. Someone like Thomas Jefferson sits down and writes the Declaration of Independence after dinner one night.
Yeah, that's
and he brings it in and he shows it to Benjamin Franklin. He says, hey, Benji, what do you think of this? And it's probably one of the finest documents that's ever been written. Right. And Jefferson was, what, 24, 25 years old.
Well, all of them. Well, that's a problem. All of them were young. Now, all of the people in our government are old. Did you ever see the picture when the Senate is comes out? It's all like white caps. We're looking like it's all snow there.
Whoa! Wait a second. Watch it now. Watch it.
Yeah. Well, do you again? Me too. But I don't know if you're around young people, but I have two boys, 26 and 27 and 25.
Mm-hmm.
Their thinking is entirely different from mine.
Yes,
it's amazing, and their experience is entirely different from mine. I mean, they basically, most of their life they've grown up in the year 2000 and change. Most of my life has been 1900 something.
Right.
And
the last century.
Yeah. And what they talk about is entirely different. I have to have them translate for me. Yeah. Well, when did that happen? What did the other thing happen? Because I'm back in, I can tell you about World War II. I mean, from history reading, I can tell you about Korean War. When I was a kid, I could tell you about Vietnam, which, I wasn't there, but I experienced all the problems. I could tell you about in 1968, what happened in the Democratic Convention, and up from there. But ask me what happened last year. They know about it, not me. I mean, I know about it, but I don't have that same feel.
And how do they feel about what's going on?
They're not participants. They more or less they criticize it. They criticize the old people, but they're not people taking action yet. It's they have their own lives to live, so to speak. Their recent college graduates are still paying off their loans. Right now they're angry at Biden because Biden promised to forgive the student loan, and so far he hasn't done anything.
Biden had never promised to forgive student loans. That was Elizabeth Warren. Biden said he would never forgive student loans.
No, he inferred it. But
so that leads me probably to the next topic. Because what do young people think of what's going on in Ukraine? Last week, the U.S. Government, U.S. military, we sent $800 million worth of equipment to the Ukraine. $800 million.
Right.
This week, today, President Biden authorized another $800 million worth of military equipment to go to Ukraine.
Yeah. My question is, do you think that it was too little, too late?
Well, what should we be doing militarily? What do the young people think about? They're worried about their college loans, and how they're going to pay their rent. Do they want the U.S. to become involved militarily in a war, in another war? Thousands of miles away from our own homeland, to defend a people that we don't even know. Well, or do we just Or do we just sit back and watch this slaughter? I mean, it literally is a slaughter of human lives taking place every day. Do we sit back and watch and wait for, Putin to decide, well, now that I have Ukraine, let me try my luck in Poland?
Well, I think looking back into history, and I'll say, when Hitler said, "Oh, we're only going into Czechoslovakia.
Correct.
Oh, we're only
Correct.
going into Poland. Oh, we're only
Correct.
going into Hungary." And the people who are anti-war say, that is so far away from us. What do we have to do with the Czechs or the Poles or the Hungarians? That's in Europe. Let them fight their fight. But today, the world is much smaller.
The world is much smaller, and the impact on everybody is so much more acute today than it was 50 years ago. In my lifetime, as in yours, we have seen a lot of wars fought needlessly, foolishly. Vietnam was comes to mind, which was an unnecessary war fought for reasons I still don't understand. I sort of understood why we went to and ran the Iraqis out of Kuwait, but I never understood the second war. That was, President George W. Bush's personal war against Saddam Hussein, because Hussein tried to or threatened his father.
Yeah, weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, which we never found.
Yeah,
which were never found, never located. The whole war was predicated on one lie after another being perpetrated by the State Department, the CIA, the Pentagon. And, we went to Afghanistan, and, that was a result of 9/11. Everybody wanted to do something, but it took us years to find Osama bin Laden and capture and execute him without a trial.
Right. Well, I don't know what winning a war means anymore, because in order to win a war, let's say if Putin wins the war in Ukraine, what does that mean? Does he have to have his troops stay there and inhabit that? Because he's not going to get the people to say, "Oh, we love Putin."
Yeah, there might not be any people left.
Right. Or as you say, "Oh, gee, in Russia we have too many people. We have to, relocate all my Russian citizens into Ukraine." I don't think so.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish.
Yes. So I don't know in today's day and age what winning a war means.
I think we should we should take a poll of all the residents of the U.S. under 30 and ask them what we should do in order to assist the people of Ukraine. And should we get involved militarily?
Yeah, no, I know I think one thing my boys are favor of flyovers, or at least give them planes. If not, give them planes, give them tanks.
They're giving them tanks. They're giving them howitzers.
Right.
Should NATO send in troops to allow the pedestrians access to freedom?
Yeah.
And get the hell out of Mariupol.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened today. It's supposedly they have some sort of a steel factory that the troops and citizens are holed up in, and Putin said, "No, don't attack it, just surround it," so he doesn't let the
Right.
the soldiers or the citizens go.
Yeah, there are thousands of civilians.
Yeah.
In that factory.
So to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want the job as a president, because any decision he makes, or pros and cons, and only history will tell.
Right.
But getting back to our country and our government,
Yes.
What people fail to realize is that Americans or the USA is not one homogeneous country. It is packed with, all sorts of, different nationalities who grew up differently, whose parents were different, whose grandparents were different. I remember when I first came to Los Angeles, I think they said in Hollywood High School, they spoke more languages than they spoke in the UN. And we not, Los Angeles or New York, which, I'm familiar with both, are not typical of the United States, but there are so many people from who were born in other countries, and we have maybe the first generation, at best the second generation. I'm the second generation American.
Mm-hmm.
And I of course I know people who, they came over the Mayflower and things like that, but we came over, my father's parents came over, I think 1905, to Ellis Island.
Mm-hmm.
But they're Jewish Eastern European, but now we have so many other groups, so many religions.
Yeah, the first Bouchard arrived in North America, which is probably now Quebec, in 1632.
Wow.
And he was a doctor.
He must be old now.
Yeah, he's probably older than I am. Yeah, and I think that's also one of the things that's always made this country, probably, I'm an engineer, so I look at it from the standpoint of, we have come up with some of the most innovative products and innovative solutions to problems. And I think it's the fact that we have so many different types of people living here, so many different backgrounds, that, that adds to our ability to look at things from a different perspective, to solve problems quicker. And I think it's the generations that have come here, and they're the first members of their families ever to go to college and ever to study engineering or study sciences or mathematics.
Yeah,
as well as the arts. And they excel in those fields because no one else in their family, no one else in their generation has ever done that before. Well, that's what makes us so unique.
Yeah, well, I'm not religious. I'm Jewish. I'm not religiously Jewish. I'm culturally Jewish. Mm-hmm. I grew up there, but I do have a certain pride in Israel. The pride in Israel, not necessarily their government. The pride in Israel is what Israelis have come up with, the inventions, the cures, the scientists.
Right.
Right. I don't have the list here now, but I remember seeing something on Facebook where the guy was having a COVID testing, and he was anti-Semitic, and the doctor says, "Well, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have the other thing." He said, "Why can't I?" He said, "They're all Israeli products." So, but the thing is, then for whatever reason, these factions are not cohesive now. They were at one time. They did work together. They were blending more into each other. Now it seems to be I don't know if it's the factions themselves or the Americans, so-called the white American, the WASPs, who are dividing them.
Well, they're afraid of losing power.
Yeah,
is what it amounts to. Since we were talking about education, just look at, for example, Florida rejecting math textbooks, banning books, and what were the reasons that these books were banned? Because they They involved, some social behaviors that they didn't want children to be learning about. And they always, they have these favorite scapegoats because they were talking about critical race theory. What the hell is critical race theory? And what's that got to do with, textbooks?
Well, because I mean, they teach, they teach, the critical race, or it's sort of like, gee, there was, I loved when I forgot what it was, some ministers of one of the big churches were saying, that they're making this political, we're teaching, blacks to hate whites or Latinos. And, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, just education, but, or it should be like religion. But I remember back in the 60s and 70s, where the major churches didn't let black parishioners go there. It was basically white.
Right.
I
remember. I remember when there were segregated schools, segregated water fountains, bathrooms.
Right.
Critical race theory. Primarily, the concept of it is that the United States as a country, as a people, we cannot eradicate racism until we face up to the fact that we were a racist country.
Well, they want critical erase system.
No, so I would ask my friends on the conservative side of the aisle, what the hell's your solution? You just ignore the fact that we had slaves and we treated people horribly for the last 400 years. If your intent is how we should address the problem of race in this country, you're delusional. It's not going to happen. You're going to continue to have problems.
The only thing I object
Forever.
Talking about slavery or race is that it seems like America invented this. The United States invented the slavery.
No, we did not invent it.
Slavery is every country, and it still exists today in some countries.
Yes.
And
it's actually a European invention.
Well, it might have been an African invention, because the people who captured the tribes when they went to war with another tribe, they captured the warriors and sold them to the slave traders.
Right. The slave traders, though, were white Europeans.
Europeans.
Yes.
But and now in all the other countries, there's slaves. In China, they have slaves. They don't call slaves now; they call different names. But at the United States, didn't invent it, but we're not. We did the race. We were racist, and I think part of to me, a breakdown which happened was when Obama became president, because I think it became the white, keep America, make America great again. That was part of that whole movement with Trump, because make America great again meant make America white again. and that was against and that started the anti-immigration policies. But make America white again is Americans weren't black.
Right. Wasn't it Donald Trump who tried to insist that Barack Obama was not a U.S. citizen? Wasn't born in the United States. He
right. He had a forged.
He was born in Kenya.
Yeah, because I think his father was Kenyan.
Yes.
And his mother was American.
His mother was from Hawaii.
Yeah. And he was born in Hawaii.
Correct. But Trump that's how he made his name.
Right.
By insisting that Barack Obama should never have been president because he was born in Kenya, and the Constitution specifically states that in order to be president, you have to be born in the United States.
But now I have a question for you.
Huh?
I have a question for you, what some people want to do. in the voting rights, if you are not an American citizen and have a permanent residence here, should you be able to vote?
No, no. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't have the right to vote.
But if you live here, if you pay your taxes here, and basically, or you're not a citizen, but this is your residence.
So why can't you have dual citizenship?
Well, first of all, sometimes it's very difficult to get American citizenship, and it's getting harder and harder. I wanted to interview in one of my shows. Now I'm forgetting which one. It was a Japanese woman who's friends with one of my other hosts, and she's been waiting about 11 years to become a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Our immigration system sucks.
And we have been talking about modifying it, rebuilding it, reconstituting it for the last 25 years that I'm aware of, and it's never been touched yet.
I mean, look what's happening with the DACA people. I mean, these are kids. I think it's basically Latino, who came here at an early age, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and have lived here all their lives, who have clean records, who've gone to college.
Yeah.
And they can't become citizens because their parents came here illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't, and everybody, gives a lip service to them. Oh, they should become citizens. They should, but anytime it becomes, up to a vote, no way. Keep America, make America great again. Make America great again is let these, white gray hair people rule.
There you go again, picking on those white hair guys.
I'm picking on the white hair guys because look at my beard.
So what else can we talk about today? We got a couple minutes.
Well, you want to talk about France and what's happening politically, and I think it's also it's becoming more right wing in Hungary. In fact, I think the new Hungarian prime minister or president is pro Putin.
Yes, he is, and so is Marine Le Pen, who's running against Francois Macron in France. And if you listen to the press, they had a debate last night, and the election is going to be held this weekend. But if you listened or read news clips over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and incidentally, their presidential campaigns don't last, a year or 2 like ours do. They're a couple of months long. But if you were reading the news, it was all about headscarves. The Muslim headscarves that the women wear. Yeah. That Le Pen is going to outlaw, forbid, for whatever reason. And France has the largest population of Muslims in Europe. And the other big thing was it was all about kosher meats.
Kosher meats?
Yeah. It was this big long harangue about how they do how they slaughter animals for kosher foods versus regular foods.
Yeah, well, I don't know regular food. I know kosher foods. It has to be the initial, let's say, with a cow, that they have to slit the throat.
Right. They don't want to do that. They want to stun them and with some needle or something, and then slit their throats. It would be more humane. And that became a big controversy. But what's her name? Marine Le Pen is very, very right wing.
Yeah.
And she's more aligned with Putin than she is with the Ukraine. As a matter of fact, I think I read where her political party has an outstanding loan from a Russian bank. So not only are they, pro-Russia, that they're financially indebted to Russia.
Well,
So it should be an interesting election.
yeah, but actually, which I think they should do, when you speak to that, I don't know what's happening with, the investigation into Trump and his finances, but basically all his loans were from, I think, from Deutsche Bank out of Chicago,
Mhm.
which basically had all the money from the Russian oligarchy. And so, and where loans from American banks, no one would loan Trump anything.
Right.
no
They're
one would,
just those other things are just fronts for laundering money.
Right, but no one would loan him money except those banks. And then Jared Kushner, where he's getting his money now, is from Saudi Arabia.
Mhm. Another fine, upstanding nation that adheres to the standards of law and humanitarian principles.
Right. Under that note, now we're out of time.
Now we're out of time? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
And I didn't get to discuss the CDC's decision on mask mandates to go back to court.
there'll be more coming. Which I like, the justice who judged on that was one of the Trump appointees that the Bar Association said was unqualified to become a judge or justice.
Yeah, well, she made a ruling, and I'm not a big fan of masks, but they do protect people against. They not only protect the person wearing them, they protect the people around them.
Right.
From the person wearing.
Yeah, I can't see all this protesting. It's taking away our individual liberties. A lot of things take away our individual liberties.
How did trying to stay alive during a pandemic become a political issue?
We'll discuss about that next week. I have no idea. How did vaccines become a political issue?
Good answer. Good answer. All right. We solved all the problems of the world. We can go home and go, and sleep well tonight.
Now, what we have to do is read the paper and come up with a whole new slew of questions for next week.
Yes.
Speak to you later.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.